Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and to a brand new project which I will be starting with this installment. If you'd like to take a preview of what this project entails, then please feel free to have a look at the design video that I published a few months ago. I will post a link in the description below. And with that quick introduction out of the way, let's just head straight out into the workshop and get to work. Today is Wednesday, October 12th, at least I think it's the 12th. If we look around the workshop, we can see I have a big empty space in the middle of the floor and fresh plywood stacked against the walls. So as you've probably gathered, today I am starting a brand new layout build project. I have my good buddy Zusi in the workshop with me today. He has just been promoted from buddy number 2 to buddy number 1 because I lost my Doberman over the weekend. Anyway, the first thing I am going to do is put brand new saw blades in all my saws because they're starting to get a bit blunt. That will give a much better cut. So let me do that quickly and then I will get to work. Don't go away. Well, this morning I cut up 2 full sheets of plywood, ripped it into 3.5 inch wide strips. I have also put together the first 2 frames. They go along a 16-foot wall in the client's train room, and this will support the main staging yard. I've still got a whole load more strips left. I estimated that I've done enough for the whole of the bottom deck. They're not actually 2 8-foot frames. One of them is 8 foot 1.5 and the other one is only 94.5 inches. The reason for that being that it has to go into a trailer which is inside dimensions 8 feet wide and 9 feet high. So the best way of doing that is to make sure I have some of the pieces a little less than 8 feet, and I will put those horizontally on top of the longer ones that are stood up. Anyway, that is the progress so far. I'm going to get back to work and I'll check in with you again later. Don't go away. Well, it's now Thursday morning already. I did not get very much done yesterday. I managed to cut most of the pieces for the Helix base. Here they are all arranged on the workbench. And I just started assembly when the power went out. And it was out all day until about 9 o'clock at night. So that's as far as I got yesterday. Anyway, hopefully I can get a lot further today. So don't go away, I will check in with you again later. Well, that is all 4 sides of the Helix base assembled. I've cleared off a big area of workbench and I've got to put them together all into one much bigger piece now. So let me do that and I will be right back. Don't go away. Well, that's the 4 subsections joined together. As you can see, 3 of the 4 corners still need filling in. This is a temporary brace. It will come out eventually. I needed to put it in because this tail had a little bit of a curve on it. So the 2 side frames were closer together than they should have been. So that just holds them the right distance apart until this piece in here will fix it permanently in the right place. So let me go away, finish this frame, and I'll be right back. Well, that is the Helix base completed. As we can see, all 3 of the angled corners have now been filled in. You'll be able to see the reasons for that later when I assemble it with the rest of the staging level benchwork. Anyway, that is the 3 large sections built. I've now got several small ones to build. So let me do that and I'll be right back. Don't go away. Well, I've now reached the point that I had planned to get to yesterday if it hadn't been for the power failure. All the staging level frames are done and I've built the base for the DCC control cabinet, and I've filled all the holes facing forward or upwards with water putty. All I can do now is wait for that to go hard so that I can sand it off tomorrow and then continue with the cabinet. So the power failure put me exactly 1 day behind schedule, but that's no big deal. It's not as though I'm working to a tight deadline right now, and I have plenty of work I can get on with inside this afternoon. So I will check in with you again tomorrow. Don't go away. It is Friday morning. I'm back out in the workshop. I've already sanded off the wood putty for the base of the control cabinet. My next tasks are to get the rest of that assembled, and then I will sand all the base frames and get those up on legs. So let me start working on that, and I will be right back. Don't go away. Well, here is the lower deck framing, all joined together and leveled. As you can see, I have braced it against the building in 4 places, to both of the posts and to 2 places along this wall. That keeps the 2 sides parallel to each other and the correct distance apart. I started off by cutting these 2 spaces to put in the middle, just to make sure that it was correct and that I didn't force it out of alignment. I also squared it up using a 3-4-5 right angle triangle. Well, actually I used a 93, 124, 155 triangle, because that side there was exactly 93 inches, so that just made it easy. There is my other mark, 124 inches from the corner, and the diagonal is 155, proving that it is completely square. Actually, where I had it assembled to start with, it was about 1/8 of an inch out, so it was easy to tweak it. These 4 braces are probably going to be a real pain, but I have to have them in there because with a swing gate across the end here, the gap between them is critical. I can't afford to risk the benchwork twisting and moving out of alignment while I build it. The next thing I'm going to do is take out these 2 braces across the middle. And I'm sure by the time I finish the railroad, I will have got so used to stepping over these 4 side braces that I will have forgotten they're even there. Anyway, that is enough for today. It's almost 5 o'clock. I don't feel like starting the next step just yet, so I'm going to go in now and I will be back out on Monday morning. So I'll check in with you then. Don't go away. Yesterday I built the shelf for the DCC system. I left it gluing up because the plywood had quite a hump in it. So I crowned it with the hump upwards and then put a stiffener underneath. So it's already pre-stressed, which actually is beneficial because of the length of it. Well, anyway, now I'm going to take the clamps off and get it installed. Let me do that and I'll be right back. The DCC shelf is now installed. I've improved on the runners as supplied by arranging for larger screws, which is why I have this extra strip along the inside of the cabinet. So instead of having the tiny screws supplied, it now has 12 1.25" drywall screws. To make installation easier, I cut 4 strips of wood, all exactly the same length, and I use them as legs. Put 1 in each corner, pull it out just a little way, and then line up the front edge of the track with the front of the shelf. And then once I've got both sides done at the front, I can remove the front legs and then pull the drawer out all the way, and then do the middle and the back. So when I deliver the railroad, I will include these 4 strips of plywood as part of the installation kit. Anyway, with that done, it's time to start putting in the tops and sub-road bed for the staging level. So let me get organized and I will be right back. Don't go away. Well, even though I haven't had the opportunity to spend much time out here over the last couple of days, I've been getting on quite well with the tops for the staging level. As you probably can see, I'm not doing it systematically from one end and working my way around. I'm basically just using up pieces as I have them, because with the price of this plywood, I'm certainly not going to want to waste any. I started off in this corner, and since this frame is more than 8 feet long, it was going to have to be two-piece anyway, so I used the offcut from the DCC cabinet. This saw cut around here allows the start of it to be lifted up. So I had to put some shims in there once I got it exactly the right height, because that is the start of the grade up to the second level. And actually by putting the plywood on that way up, it wants to twist naturally in that direction anyway. This was the second piece that I did. That was just cut from a full piece, because it's almost 8 feet long. And the narrow offcut from the side was big enough to do these two pieces back behind here. When it comes to the Helix base, note how I am cutting it in such a way as to splice the joints in the frame. That is for structural reasons. And although it may look as though it's wasting a lot of plywood, the offcuts are still useful. The piece I cut off here will fill in that gap that you see now, and also do the bottom level of the swing gate. So I'm going to cut those pieces next, and then I just got 1/2 of the Helix base to do. Actually, some of the pieces are not ready to attach yet. These two pieces around the back of the DCC cabinet have to be ripped down the middle, because I've got two parallel main lines on differing grades. And also this piece around the end is not attached directly to the frame either. It has to be placed on a grade a little less than 2%. Well, all the level plywood has now been installed. The next thing I have to do is work on the grade up to the middle level. Now it starts in this corner, and the end of the staging yard is on the vertical curve, which is very gradual, so it won't be a problem. And this piece of plywood is actually sitting up exactly where it needs to go, about 1/4 of an inch. And then the 2% grade will continue smoothly around the front edge. This piece of plywood here in the corner can go. I don't need it. It's a 4-inch wide strip for the single track up to the bottom of the Helix. And then the inside piece will have a slight grade down again to datum level, where it will join on with the reversing loop about where the end of the framing square is. So anyway, the easy part has now been done. It gets slightly more complex from now on. So let me get back to work, and I'll check in with you again later. Don't go away. Well, that is the start of the grades put in, and all the bottom level of sub roadbed done. This outer track that snakes around the outside is on a 2% rising grade, and that will enter the Helix at the far end, about where my sweatshirt is. The benchwork behind it is the low-level continuous circuit. This basically just gives the client a test bed for his locomotives, which he can use before he's got the middle level built. I didn't make any intermediate clips while I was doing it, because I have already shared my methods with you before. Anyway, now I'm going to go inside and plot the next bit. What I have to do before I can put any more grade in is make sure that the low level reverse loop is properly plotted with adequate clearance, so that I don't foul where the track needs to go. Because with this project I don't have the contract to build the track. I'm just doing bench work. Anyway, that's all for the day. Don't go away. I will check in with you next time. Well, as you've probably gathered by now, this project is nowhere near as involved or ambitious as the previous one. It's not going to take anywhere near as long, and already the lower level benchwork is complete. Next week I will continue where I left off, and I have an elliptical helix to build up to the second level. So until then, thanks for watching and bye for now.